I'm Kevin Perkins, Surrounded by Sports. I am here invited by Dave Wilson, who is not in your camera shot, but he will be in a bunch of camera shots at some point.
Yeah.
Ronnie Cottrell.
Yeah. Mickey
Lindsay and Dwight Thomas. And
Yes,
we
sir.
are at Dwight Thomas's recruiting, what would you call this?
This is our small college recruiting fairs.
Yes, sir.
The gentleman that was sitting here this morning, Kelly Scott and Rod Schaefer, started this 30 years ago. Mm-hmm. And the first year I didn't go to it. And the second year said, Dwight, you got to come to this. You got to see this is a great theory. This is a great thought. This is a great program we got here. So next year I went. I've been with them now since.
Right.
And because it's a great concept. We're trying to help every young boy, young man in the state of Florida have an opportunity to go to college and play at some level somewhere in America.
Now, you told me earlier about your system. Would you mind explaining your system a little bit?
Absolutely. We're Catapult Sports. We're the largest recruiting service in America. And the reason I say that is because we cover all states. There's a Dwight Thomas in every state. I cover Florida. I cover the 600 schools in Florida and work with a head coach. He's the only one that I basically go through because we're going to do it the right way. We're not going to charge the kids. No money changes hands. We use the college recruiting budget to fund the whole service. And so we're going to do it that way. And we just work with the head coach to get his information, to get the players' information, and then we work with colleges nationwide at all levels, and through their college recruiting budget, that funds the whole service.
Well, how many schools did you say again?
They're in high schools,
No,
in 600 in
that you
Florida.
represent from.
Yeah, in Florida.
Right.
And then colleges nationwide, all levels. There's 1,061 of those that are right now subscribing to Catapult Sports to get the Florida database. They have a username and password to all of that.
And your goal is to get every high school kid that wants to be in a college program an opportunity to do that at a lower level.
Exposure is the word.
Exposure.
We're going to get exposure. The program itself gets exposure. And we are having to work harder at it now because of COVID and the portal and all the things that work against us to get more exposure. And the college coaches are just recruiting less of our players than they used to. They used to be full. All their players came from high school.
Right. Well, that's transfer portal issue driven, right? And now you said you don't have as many people that ask you about high school kids, so you have to be vigilant in making sure those kids get represented.
That's right. And if they're going to pay for the service, they're going to use the service.
Right.
And so they'll tell me basically what it is that they want in the contact information realm. We have the GPS wearables, the latest technology that we put on our players now in high school. All colleges and all NFLs use it every day for practice and everything else. We're putting it on at the game, and we're getting miles per hour and their acceleration, deceleration, and power plays and everything else. And it's verified data that they trust. It's miles per hour now instead of the 40 time.
Right. Now, do you mind talking about yourself for a second?
Oh, sure.
Okay. Because you are a legendary high school coach.
That's kind of you to say.
Well, I mean,
Thank you.
there's only one way to say it. But you coached. I know you from coaching at Escambia High School.
Yeah.
I was in high school when you were there, and the teams that you ran out there with Emmett and Pat Moore, and they're just incredible ball clubs. Yeah. But you said something interesting to me. You said Emmett sometimes quotes it in his speeches, a statement about it's not a goal till you write it down. You want to talk about that a little bit?
Yeah, well, it's just basically what Gene Cox taught me in 1965 when I first walked in the barn at Leon High School. I don't know if you've ever been there, but that's what we have in that same barn still standing there.
Right.
He says, sit down, son, write down, this is yours paper, here's pen, write down your goals, because it's a dream until you write it down. Then once you write it down and you know what it takes to get to reach those goals, as a reminder, you put that on a 3x5 card, you put it in your locker, and every day when you open up that locker to go to work, there's those goals staring at you. So
Right.
I did that, and it worked with me, because the day that I met my third goal that I wrote down in 1965, that was the day that I just didn't want to coach anymore, because I had met my goals, and that's the driving force for me.
Now, what did you pivot to post that immediately, coaching, when you first decided to give it up?
Well, that was when I started thinking, well, that's all well and good if you're going to retire, but what are you going to do with yourself? And at that time,
You're still a fairly young man.
oh yeah, but still, I met my goals, so it's
Right,
time
of
to
course.
change. So luckily for me, having the great players and having the great program, then in comes all the head coaches from America, the Pat Dyes and the Paul Osborne, and just Barry Brown, all of them.
Yeah.
So they come in because they all had a shot at Emmett. They all dreamed about getting Emmett, and because he was that type of a guy, difference maker, having all them come in allowed me to talk with them all. And I said, you know what? Don't get this wrong. You get Dwight Thomas, you get Emmitt Smith. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't want to coach anymore. How can I stay in the game? They said, one of them said, and I to this day don't remember which one of them said this, but this is when it occurred. They said, why don't you go to Indianapolis? Why don't you find out about the combine? I said, well, I grew up on a farm, and I know what a combine is. That's what we pick corn with. No. You go to Indianapolis, you find out what the combine is,
Right.
and then you adapt that and bring it down to high school. So, and so that made me think. And then he said, here's the best deal, Dwight. We'll pay you to do that. Whoa, I have found my niche.
Right.
The college recruiting budget funds this. So I went, I was the first guy in America to run a high school combine. We started them 30 years ago.
Right.
I had 8 kids in my first one.
Right.
Now I go to combines, there's thousands. But anyway, it grew and progressed because we want objective information. So we started running the combines nationwide. And so I say that proudly to you. But now it's, as we say, taking it to the next level with the GPS wearable. So we've added that to it. But it's a way to stay in the game, stay involved. I'm 81 now. I've got born in 43. So this way I get, like today, get to sit in here with Ronnie Cottrell and David Wilson and Mickey Lindsay. I mean, what an honor for me to be just a small part of that. And football allowed me to do that, to go from the farm in the cotton patch in Alabama to county corn growing champion. You're looking at the guy that grew more bushels per acre than anybody in Houston County. But anyway, so that I got all. This is the path, and I can affect. Coaches affect eternity. It's how we affect that kid. It's how he's going to affect his kid. Out of this day, 50 years later, get emails, texts, X, whatever, from kids saying, I'm crying while I'm typing this, and I haven't spoken to you in 50 years, but I want you to know what you meant to me and what you taught me, and I'm raising my kids that way, and I'm saying the same thing. What an honor.
Wow. You know, 2 things that struck me about that. One, Emmett really was the boat that raised all the ships.
No question.
You got eyes on the product, you got eyes throughout the county, but even you got to not take advantage of it, but you were able to pivot towards something else. Another thing is your decision went from I'm helping hundreds of kids at the school I'm at, so I'm gonna go help thousands of kids.
That's right. That's exactly it.
That's amazing.
And he was thinking about Emmett there. I'm telling you, boy, that guy was what a blessing it was. How would you like to coach? When you think about every boy that ever ran with the football in the history of our game, in the history of the United States of America, he's outdone them all stat-wise. You can argue whether he's the greatest running back of all time,
right?
Because there's the Walter Payton group, and there's the Jim Brown group, and so forth.
Of course.
But he outdid them all.
Well,
and how an honor to coach that guy.
Right.
And how about him never being tardy to a meeting in 4 years? How about that one? How about never missing a practice in 4 years? How about never hearing him say a cuss word in 4 years?
Right.
I mean, how about coaching a guy that they've never heard him say a negative thing in 4 years? And I'd have to pull him first half sometime. We'd be so far ahead.
Right.
Yeah. So I mean, it's.
He could have more yards. Way more.
Oh my God, we could have gone after Ken Hall's record.
Right.
Ain't no question about that. But
Right.
he knows that I'm not there to protect the kid. And I feel like that Emmett will say this, that I was able to help him to grow from a young man and not be messing with this NIL stuff that's going on and all of the. He got the same thing that everybody else got, or nobody got it. That's
Right.
just how it was.
Right.
Couldn't do that today. I could not have protected him.
Yeah.
I didn't let people interview him because I didn't want jealousy. I wanted. He's
a unit.
If you're going to interview, you got to interview everybody.
Right. Right.
I mean, you heard Jimmy Greek, Jimmy Breslin, and those guys.
Yeah,
They called me wanting to interview him, and I said no. They said, "Well, you know who we are and what we can do." I said, "I know who you are."
Right.
No.
Back then, letting the guy that is close to Vegas as Jimmy the Greek was, being your player wouldn't have been good.
I don't.
Nowadays, they give him a sponsorship with the gambling
that's right.
site.
Everybody says maybe you held him back and all that, but I think that everything that we did, and he approved of it, and his parents, and that's why he's so successful. And when Sports Illustrated came down to do their big thing in our gym at Escambia, just so happened, whenever they asked me, well, why do you think he's so good? And I put my hand on both their shoulders and I said, this is why.
Right, parents.
Yeah.
Right.
Mom
Another interesting thing, you said that you thought you weren't going to play him his freshman year.
Oh, yeah, no. The guys that I played that trained me, you played ninth grade ball, and then you played JV ball, and then you went to the varsity. That's how I was trained.
And who was it that told you might want to think different?
Oh, that would be Durrell Odom, Eddie Feely, and Gene Cox.
They were like, I don't know about this one.
Yeah. And then they drugged me right in there and made me play him in the opening game. He had 148 yards and 2 touchdowns, and they were all in my office after the game. See, we told
Laughing at you.
We tried to tell you. We tried to tell you. Oh, they were laughing with me.
Yeah.
Principal was in there. Everybody's in there.
If you fast forward, though, 4 years, when he's playing Alabama as a freshman, people don't think he's the starter. And he puts up like 100 yards.
Well, 200.
200. Apologize, 200.
Yeah.
And now he, you know, just fantastic. Well, man, sir, thank you so much for giving me a little bit of your time and talking to us.
Great.
Appreciate it.
You.
And
thank you.
there we go. All right. I am Kevin Perkins from Surrounded by Sports. I am with Dave Wilson. I want to say long-time friend. It's been a couple of years.
Well, yeah, that's long.
Used to work together.
Yes.
And we will again at some point. I believe we're going to be bed race analysts at some point.
Exactly. That's an important thing. Johnny Mays, our buddy Johnny.
Yes, sir.
Was set up, and we'll be a good part of that. We'll have fun.
That should be a good time. Now, today we are here at Gateway
Church.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. This is my church, and they graciously open it up whenever we want to do an event.
Yes, sir.
And so, we love to have you. We did Media Day here,
Mm-hmm.
there 2 years ago, I guess now, or something like that.
Yeah, the High School Media Day
Right.
football. Absolutely. Now, we're here today for the Dwight Thomas recruiting.
Yes, it's a recruiting fair, and Dwight, you just had a great interview with him. I first met him when I got here in 1986.
Mm-hmm.
He was the head coach at Escambia. He had a running back there that was a senior that year by the name of Emmett Smith.
Absolutely.
I was the defensive coordinator at Woodham High School. That was our opening game. I was scared to death.
Right. Right.
How am I going to stop this guy?
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. So,
And you had some players. Did you have
had-
robo safety? Was
we
Kerry
had good
Watkins
play-
on this team?
Yeah. We had some players at that point in time, but at the same time, it was a new staff. And we started, a little slower. But I will say this: claim to fame, we held him to 82 yards, and we got beat. I think it was 22-21.
Something like that, right?
Yeah.
So what we're doing here today, now we're having a recruiting fair. So what we have
Yes.
is Dwight Thomas's service
Right.
linking local players throughout the whole state of Florida with
Yes.
small college programs.
Yes, exactly, and that's what Dwight has, dedicated himself to now that he's not coaching anymore. And it's been going on a long time, and of course, they've talked about to you, and I'll talk about to you as far as Lighthouse Christian College is concerned. We want to give local guys the opportunity. I mean, that's all we do, and get them involved. We had our first season this past year.
Undefeated.
Unbelievable. Unbelievable.
Unbelievable. Right.
And it just goes to show there's still great players in this Panhandle area.
Right.
You know.
Right.
And so we got with Dwight and said, okay, we will host it for you this year. It was a little late. Last year they had it in Navarre. But I think we'll take over this thing to where it becomes something every year where young people that aren't getting talked to have a chance to talk with coaches. We had Maine Maritime here today. We had Miles College here today. At UWF, Coach Steve was just here. We had, who else? Oh, Bluefield College.
Right.
Our staff was here as well. So it was really a good experience. Kids came in, they go to each area, table, sit down, talk with coaches.
Right.
And
now,
see if there's an opportunity.
The coaches get the opportunity to have a player put on their radar, but also the player gets the opportunity to find out about Maritime College.
Exactly. And which, there's so many colleges out there now that's starting programs, being a part of this, that are in the smaller numbers range.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
But they always want to come south. They always want to come to Florida. We're known for speed.
Right.
We're known for great players, physical guys, all that kind of stuff. And so they want to come, be throughout this whole state, seeing what's available to them to recruit and bring them to their school.
Right. And with the as we'll get into this as I hope to be interviewing you off and on for an extended period, but with the fact that there is a transfer portal now and things like that, a lot of the bigger schools and even a little bit lower down the totem pole, but still major colleges, are just passing good players around, which is making it harder for a senior in high school to get into there. He kind of almost has to utilize smaller colleges like a JUCO if he wants to go up and things like that.
Yes, absolutely.
Right.
And with all the changes going on, here's another thing that affects those guys. Now they're going to the 105 total guys on scholarship. That means you just cut out 30 walk-on guys that are going to come in to develop, to make your team, all that kind of stuff.
Right.
Well, all those guys now either just got sent home or they're just now students in those colleges.
So the days of going to a campus as a walk-on in your sophomore year getting rewarded a scholarship, that's going to be few and far between because all these players are on scholarship now.
Yeah, all of them are on. 105 is the total they can have. And everybody wants to talk about, and I say this a lot, everybody wants to talk about that it's nothing but the NFL.
Right.
No, it's not.
Right.
A guy can't leave the Saints and go just play for the Chiefs.
Right. There's a contract involved. Right.
And so NCAA's got to get a hold of this thing somehow.
Correct. But until they do, your college, these other colleges over here, this is their guys' opportunity to get a chance to go in because you've got to be on scholarship to be on the team now.
They're getting film. They're getting experience.
Right.
Our staff, I love our staff because of the people that we've got involved.
You got some go-getters over there.
They've been involved for a long time. Ronnie and I have been involved for over 60 years combined.
You've seen every stage of recruiting.
Yes, sir.
You've watched it evolve.
Yes.
So you can help people, even if you're not helping them come to your school.
Right.
You can absolutely help them navigate those waters.
With the process. And the parents don't know. They don't understand either, And
a lot of times that can be first person to talk to you is the person you think is telling you the truth, and that can be a little bit murky.
We had 30 guys yesterday visiting us on a recruiting visit. All right, we hold that out in Gulf Breeze, and every one of them had a parent with them because they want to understand this process.
Right.
And so we were able to clear up a lot of things and misconceptions about playing in smaller colleges level.
Right.
All right.
Right.
Because you've heard me say this a bunch. That portal goes two ways. Goes up, goes down.
Right.
Now, what are those recruiting coordinators doing at the major schools? They're spending all 25. It used to be you could get 25 scholarships a year. They're spending them all in the portal.
Right. That's exactly right.
And that's what's affecting high school kids.
Right. And that's why this type of event, what
Right.
you were doing yesterday, helping. That's why those things are important.
Exactly.
Because the amount of room at the top immediately has lowered,
Right.
has diminished.
Yeah.
Right.
Unless you're a no doubt
Superstar.
phenomenal superstar.
Right.
Yeah. You're gonna have to make your way to a college level that your ability puts you in step with.
Right. Right. Thank you for your time.
You're welcome.
That's
It's
awesome.
always a pleasure.
Yes,
Steve.
sir.
You know
Yes, sir.
that.
We'll see you again.
Okay.
All right. Thank you. Thank you, folks.